Hi friends, CK here. Thanks so much for taking a moment to log into my video blog as I share some information that relates specifically to your community, and I should say our community, Forest Meadows, because I'm very proud to be a property owner, former resident, but also a property owner still in Forest Meadows today. Three things I'd like to do in this video to help educate and empower you as a Forest Meadows property owner. First of all, I'd like to share a few more statistics as it relates to where things stand in the housing market vis-a-vis Forest Meadows. Secondly, I'd like to share some emerging trends as we head into the second half of 2020 and what you can expect in the real estate market as it pertains to Forest Meadows. And then thirdly, I'd like to address a few of the most frequently asked questions I have from clients, including some of our neighbors in Forest Meadows that might be helpful to you. So let's start quickly with a few market statistics as they relate to Forest Meadows, and 4 points here that I want to make. First of all, it's interesting to see that the number of Forest Meadows homes that have sold through July 30th is actually down 16% as it relates to 2020, but also 2018 and 2019. And you might ask the very obvious question, well, why in the world would sales be down at a time that is clearly a dominating seller's market and when we're seeing these sky-high prices for sales? Well, if you think about it, it's a little clear. Homeowners are concerned about whether and if they sell their property, whether they'll be able to afford the next property. But I'm also going to talk a little bit more about this later in the video, so stay tuned. Secondly, our average sold price in Forest Meadows has soared to over $450,000. That's up 17% from 2020. Interestingly, in July of 2020, the average sold price in Forest Meadows was just barely over $384,000. So certainly we're seeing this tremendous boom, not only across El Paso County, but it's affecting our Forest Meadows community as well, as now our average sold price through July is over $450,000, almost $451,000. 41 of 74 sold homes through July 30th sold above $450,000. We have 2 homes that have sold for $525,000 already this year. Last year, through the end of July, we had 1 home that had sold over $500,000. Already this year, in Forest Meadows, we have 12 homes that have sold over $500,000. So all of that's very good news in this highly appreciating market that we're seeing that appreciation in our Forest Meadows properties as well. Next thing I want to point out is, this is very interesting, is the sold price per square foot. So in 2019 and 2020, across the board, whether it was a 2-story, a ranch, a triplex, a bi-level, 4-level, our average sold price really was pretty much caught between $134 and $144 a square foot. But we are now seeing the average sold price per square foot in Forest Meadows in 2021 at $162 per square foot. That's pretty impressive. If you're fortunate enough to own one of the beautiful ranches in Forest Meadows, ranches always have a higher price per square foot than 2 stories, more often than not, and our ranches are selling between $168 and $184 per square foot. So we've seen a significant growth in price per square foot. Last thing I want to share is days on market. I don't think this is going to surprise anyone. Last year we were blessed that our average days on market for a property in Forest Meadows was 8 days. This year, through the end of July, we are now seeing an average days on market of only 3 days. That's great news in case you're trying to find a home. It's a little scary, but 3 days on market. But I'm beginning to see that trend shift, especially since the 4th of July weekend. And that brings me to the second part of what I'd like to share in this video blog. What are some of the emerging trends? Again, looking week by week, month by month in Forest Meadows. I'd like to share a couple of trends that I think are really the story of 2 different markets between the first part of the year and the second part of the year, or really kind of August through the end of the year. There's no doubt we remain in a dominant, very, very strong seller's market, but we are beginning to see shifts. Homes in Forest Meadows since the July 4th weekend are now beginning to stay on the market a much longer period of time. We're seeing homes that are 12, 15, 17, 21, and even 58 days on the market. Why is this? Why are we seeing homes stay on the market longer? Well, there's two reasons. First of all, those of us who are sellers or have been sellers, we're swinging for the fences. We want to make sure that we literally capture every dollar possible in this highly appreciated market at a time when inventory, when I say record low levels, here's what I want to liken it to. We've had several economic downturns over the last 100 years. We've had several recessions. We've only had one Great Recession, and we've also only had one Great Depression. My friends, we are in the Great Depression of inventory shortfall all across El Paso County. What that means is very, very extraordinarily low supply is having skyrocketing price impact. Well, what that also has meant is that some of us as sellers have really overpriced our homes. We've swung for the fences, assuming that in this tight inventory, buyers will continue to kind of pay the piper. But we're beginning to see that shift. From March to June, we saw that strategy work. People could price their homes significantly above appraisal value and still end up finding buyers who would pay that price. But right now, and if you've been a buyer, you understand, but right now buyers are fatigued, and many are choosing to stay on the sidelines, take themselves out of the game after they've made offer after offer after offer, and they've said, I'm going to wait this out. So we are seeing fewer buyers because of fatigue, but we're also seeing the fact that folks are saying, I'm just not going to overpay. So between the fatigue and some of us just kind of going for the fences, maybe going beyond the fences with pricing, is resulting in homes staying on the market for a longer period of time. But we're also seeing that an increasing number of homes, especially since the July 4th weekend, are now beginning to sell not at list price and not above list price, but below list price. Our homes are having to be reduced in their list price. Fewer offers. We're definitely seeing fewer offers. There was a time when a Forest Meadows home, it would be normal to have 20, 25 offers, but because of buyers' fatigue, because things have been overpriced in some respects, at this point we're seeing more homeowners have to reduce their list price or to sell below list price. And again, these trends have just emerged in the last 3 to 4 to 5 weeks. The number one question I'm asked when I have a listing anywhere in Colorado Springs, but especially in Forest Meadows, before agents will schedule showings, they're calling me as the list agent, and the first question I'm asked is, CK, how many offers do you have in hand? And part of the reason they're asking that is that they, but more importantly, buyers are fatigued and simply won't continue to visit and make offers on homes that already have multiple offers. So selling below list price, fewer offers, and again, there's a time to be very, very aggressive, but still realistic in how we price things. Let me share a little bit about the most frequently asked questions that I get across the board, but especially from our neighbors here in Forest Meadows. People ask me, CK, how does our average sold price of $450,687, how does that average sale price relate to the broader El Paso County? And this is an important number and something that I track very closely. Up until 2020, the average sold price in Forest Meadows either exceeded or was very, very close, slightly above the average sold price in El Paso County. But beginning in 2020, and especially in 2021, we're seeing Forest Meadows' average sold price drop below the average sold price in El Paso County. In 2020, the average sold price across El Paso County exceeded $400,000 for the first time. It was $403,642, whereas Forest Meadows was at the 384 mark. Now in 2021 through July, we have seen the average sold price in El Paso County skyrocket to over $501,000. That is a 24% growth in 1 year. In that same time period, Forest Meadows moved from $384,000 to $450,000. So we're now $50,000 below the average in El Paso County, but still a growth of 17%. But this is an important trend as our community continues to age and in the age of our homes. As we see an increasing percentage, not significant, but a growth in the number of rentals in the community, we now see that we have been outpaced by average sold price in El Paso County vis-a-vis Forest Meadows. The other question that I and so many other real estate professionals get is, man, I'm interested in selling. I'd love to take advantage of this highly appreciated market that really is at its peak right now. But how in the world will I find a home? And secondly, how will I be able to compete and afford a home? If I sell high, don't I have to buy high? Well, those are very, very good questions, and you definitely need a strategy for how do you capitalize on the high end when you sell, but not overpay on the buy side. I'd love to talk with you more about a couple strategies, but here's one thing to keep in mind. Over 75% of my clientele is involved in what's called a post-closing occupancy agreement. What this does is it not only gives you the time during which your home is on the market, 1 to 2 weeks, the 24 to 30 days that it takes to close, unless you have a cash offer and you can close in 14 to 15 days, but it gives you almost a month there where you can be looking for a home while you're waiting on your house to close. And then part of the contract is you ask your buyer for a post-closing occupancy agreement that gives you up to 60 days to remain in your home post-closing while you have the cash in hand from the sale of your home to be looking for your new great place to call home, your new home. That gives you about 90 days to be looking competitively in the market, and it gives you cash to be able to put towards the purchase of that next home. You might say, well, will buyers go for that? Like I said, more than 75% of my clientele and so many others need that post-closing occupancy agreement, and buyers know it's just part of the reality of this market. So cash is king. Coming to your next negotiation and purchase with more cash in hand, having that 90-day time period to seriously look, those are great strategies to put in place as you try to maximize on the sell side and be very, very aggressive but realistic on the buy side. And I'd love to talk with you some more about that if you find yourself wrestling with those questions. Next thing you might ask is, hey, CK, I don't want to be one of those that has my house on the market 30 or 40 days and has to keep going through price reductions, but I don't want to undersell in this highly appreciated market. How do I aggressively price my home? Well, I tell you what, that is extremely important because right now, I'm just going to be very candid. There is no rhyme or reason to how homes are being priced in Forest Meadows right now. Since about the end of June, early July, we are seeing pricing all over the market. We're seeing many, many homes over $500,000. We're seeing homes sit for more than 20 to 30 days. And so there hasn't really been a lot of strategy or rationale with some of the pricing we're seeing right now. And so that's why I think it's really important that you engage with a real estate professional that really knows Forest Meadows. It's one thing to be a seasoned agent. It's one thing to do a ton of transactions in a year, but you need someone, I need someone who super knows Forest Meadows. One of the things I'm proud to offer is the fact that as a homeowner in Forest Meadows, I've lived there, I've invested in properties there, I still have properties in the community, is there is not a listing that has come on the market in Forest Meadows in the last several years that I have not personally been one of the first people through, taking notes on every single property, because what we so often have is we might go under contract at this price, but then we appraise here. And how do we handle that appraisal gap? And I'm pleased to be able to say that I have made sure that every single one of my clients have bridged that appraisal gap by being able to rightly position them on pricing, but also making sure that they have a positive appraisal that gets them top dollar for their home. I call this being hyper-local. I buy and sell real estate throughout Colorado Springs, but boy, I sure focus on Forest Meadows of one of two communities where I am weekly doing a deep dive. And so when you're looking at how to rightly price your home vis-a-vis the competition within a 1, 2, 3 mile radius, you need someone who really knows and loves Forest Meadows. So that's super important, but in addition, let me ask you this. For most of us, our home, the real estate that we own, the place that we call home sweet home, is our most significant and valuable asset. When is the last time you have taken a look at what I will call your real estate portfolio? Yes, you know prices are higher. Yes, you know what your neighbors or the folks down the street, their homes sold for. But how many of us would take 1, 2, 3 years and never even look at our investment portfolio? So if it has been more than a year since you have had a comparative market analysis and a broker's opinion of value on your home, then I hope you will pause and make sure that you're asking someone who super knows Forest Meadows to give you a comparative market analysis. And here's what I'd like to offer you. It's free and it's absolutely no obligation. And I give you a 100% guarantee that if you'll allow me to provide a comparative market analysis of your home's value, I won't hound you, I won't bug you, but rather I will simply provide that information with the goal and aim to empower and equip you about what your real estate investment is really worth. I know Forest Meadows, I love Forest Meadows, I'd love to be of help with you, whether you're planning to buy or sell or not, simply to know what is the value of your real estate investment. If you have any questions, anything else about your home or the community that I can be helpful with, please reach out to me. You can find me at 719-257-3810 or send me an email at ck@liveyourdreamincolorado.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope to hear from you. Have a great rest of your summer.